Welcome back to the channel, everybody. This is Wishbone. I'm Glenn McGowan. Today I'm going to be giving you my top 5 picks of affordable future investment cars. What this means is cars that you can buy now that have collectability that are most likely going to appreciate over the next 5 to 10 years. So you've seen this happen with 60s cars, 70s cars. Now it's happening with 80s and 90s cars. And since COVID, we watched a lot of values spike really fast, and it kind of shows you what cars are like really hot, and a lot of them are like low mile cars or rare cars. But it's kind of happening now with those 80s and 90s cars. So I'm going to give you my honest opinion of what I feel like are good collection cars that you can get right now, maybe do some work on, fix it, restore it a little bit, that you'll be able to get all your money out of, or a nice little car to hold on to for the future.
This week's video is brought to you by wishbone.com. Shop our site for Corvette performance parts, merchandise, and much more. See the link in the description or visit wishbone.com.
So number 5 is this, the Porsche 944. So 1982 to 1991. Most of them are 4-cylinders. They come in automatic. 5-speeds. There's also a turbo model, which usually fetches a pretty penny at this point. But getting a 944, you can get them for under $5,000 right now, and they need work, maybe even a little cheaper. You can get them for a little more expensive too, miles, condition, all that kind of stuff like that. But that's a really good car that the Porsche community recognizes now, and they're kind of getting rare at this point. So a lot of people are kind of snatching them up because they still are like a cool 80s piece as well, and also a pretty solid car. They're almost like perfectly balanced, 50-50. They have a engine in the front, a torque tube, and then the trans axle is in the rear, almost like a C5 Corvette. So that's a really good car to scoop up, a fun little sports car that you can work on yourself. It's relatively an easy car to own and operate for cost for maintenance and stuff like that too. I'm also going to lump in the Porsche 928. So this is 1977 to, I believe, 1995 or something like that. But a lot of the late 70s, early 81s are still at really good price points. And if you can find like a 5-speed one or an S, they did have a ton of electrical problems. And this is supposed to be like their flagship car. This is supposed to be the car that was going to kind of like kick the 911 to the side and be their like supercar. They're actually a really cool car, V8 front engine. Like I said, you can get a stick shift one. There's more automatic ones out there, but really nice S model, especially the early 90s ones are doing a lot of money right now. But that's a really cool, fun car too. Once you can work out those electrical gremlins, would be an awesome car to own. Number 4 is another twofer. Early 2000s Pontiac Trans Am and the GTO. So if you never heard of Pontiac before, it was once a car company owned by General Motors. And the Trans Am is an LS1 car with a 6-speed, so is the GTO. So the GTO was a repop of the 70s cars, and the Trans Am is kind of died off after that, and they kept the Camaro going, but the Firebird platform, since Pontiac died, is no longer. So obviously, if Pontiac's no longer around, those cars are good cars to hold on to for the future. Number 3 is the Fox Body Mustang. So this is one of the big fan favorites in the Mustang world, and they've always been a popular car and a heavy modified car for drag racing, or you name it, it's been done to these things. And they're V8s and they're 5-speeds, and there's so many variations: the GT, the Notchback, the Cobra, the Saline, the McLaren. So 79 to 1993. So any of those that you have that is like relatively clean and in good shape that you got when you were younger is just an awesome investment. And if you've seen these things, if you're into them, you've watched them go up a lot, especially clean ones. So it's definitely a good car to hold on to because the values of those have already went up. Number 2 is this, the G-Body. What is the G-Body? Well, let me get the list. GM, El Camino, the Cutlass, the Regal, the Grand National, the Monte Carlo SS, the Le Mans, the Grand Prix. So it's all those platforms essentially, but mainly I'm talking about like the Monte SSs, the old 442s, the T-types, the Grand Nationals. Grand Nationals are just already, went up through the roof. I used to own one. I kind of kicked myself for getting rid of it years ago. They went up a lot. So any of those, even just clean regular Regals or Cutlasses and stuff like that, they are just kind of sought after now because great chassis. There's so much aftermarket support for these things for drag cars and stuff like that, or pro touring or whatever you wanted to do. So there's a lot of those out there. But what happened was a lot of them people just left outside and they just rotted and fall apart. So every time you drive by and someone's got like a Monte outside and it's rotting, it needs full floors and rocker and you name it, it needs it because they all rotted out. So clean ones, nice ones are already fetching a pretty penny. So it's one of those cars that you have it, you keep it stored, and it's going to just kind of fill your pockets in the future. So that's my number 2. All right, my number one is the BMW E36 M3, or any E36 essentially at this point. So 1995 to 99 is the M3. They had the S50, then the S52. It's like 240 horsepower for the S52. The Euro spec ones made more power, but if you can get a clean E36 M3 or even any clean E36 sedan, coupe, convertible that's not rotted out and has decent miles on it, they've already went up a lot. I have a 99 M3. I bought that years ago, mainly because I knew that the values were going to go up, especially clean ones with no rust, because people daily drive these cars, so there's a lot of them out there with like 200,000 miles, 300,000 miles, and getting one with a clean chassis that was kind of well taken care of is kind of hard at this point, because people will get them for cheap, track them, beat the crap out of them, and leave them outside, and they just kind of been falling apart. So seeing the E36s go from everywhere to they're really kind of like rare to see at this point is just a good sign of a good collector car. So that's it. That's my top 5 picks. So if you enjoyed the video, hit that like button. Thanks for watching.